Good afternoon. This is Ankita Mehrotra Khatri. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, and today we are going to head this topic: Job Work Procedures under Goods and Service Tax Act 2017. Job work industry is growing at a very significant pace and a very fast pace in the Indian economy. It has a significant contribution towards the Indian economy. Today, the contract manufacturing, which is being termed by very big business houses like pharma industries, FMCG industries, textile industries, and many other industries, are using the contract manufacturing as their way to increase their production. And they are delivering or imparting their contract manufacturing under the job work name to the small SMEs. Now, moving towards today's topic is that job work. Before moving on to the job work, हम एक layman language में we should understand job work is basically a process which is being undergone by the people. जिसमें Mr. A, supposingly there's a Mr. A and there Mr. B. Mr. A carries on a job work manufacturing process and also transfers or gives the job work to the Mr. B. Start again. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ankita Mehrotra Khatri. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, and today we are going to start with the topic Job Work Procedures and Provisions under the Goods and Service Tax Act 2017. Before moving on to this particular topic, let's discuss something about the job work industry, how this industry works. Earlier, it was named under the name of contract manufacturing. Big business houses, big companies use this particular word of contract manufacturing or some another name for this job work. But as per the law, the process is defined as the job work. While undergoing the job work, we have to keep in mind certain provisions, procedures of the Goods and Service Tax Act, which has to be carried forward under the law. Job work is basically a process, an activity, a treatment where one person carries out the work on the goods, imports, goods, capital goods, anything supplied by another registered person. So basically, suppose Mr. A, they are Mr. B. They are two persons. Mr. A is a registered person and Mr. B is an unregistered person, supposing. Or Mr. B is also can also be a registered person. So this process or job work can be done with Mr. A and Mr. B, who can be the two registered persons or who can be one registered and one unregistered person. Who the unregistered person, the job worker is a person who carries out the treatment or activity or a process on the goods. Goods means inputs supplied by the registered person, like Mr. A. Okay, so basically job work is a process or a treatment. Now moving on to the job work, the definition of job work has been defined under section 268 of the CGST Act 2017, which says job work is basically a treatment, a process which is carried on the inputs, semi-finished goods, capital goods belonging to the other registered person by the job worker, who may be registered person or unregistered person, which we have discussed right now. Like, so कुछ भी काम करा हो किसी भी चीज पे, एक inputs, semi finished goods कुछ भी हो सकते हैं. तो Mr. A है, suppose he is in a textile industry, he runs a textile industry, he manufactures the products, textile products. Like supposingly in textile industry they have various processes, various things which have to be done. Packaging is also a process. The packaging can also be a process which can be done under the job work. Like Washing can also be a process. Some clothes get dirty, तो हमें उसको we have to wash it out and we give it to someone else outside the factory to carry out the washing work. This is also a process. This is also a kind of job work. This is also a kind of treatment or a process or an activity basically which has been done on that product which has been supplied by Mr. A. So Mr. A has to be a registered person. Mr. B can be a registered person or an unregistered person. But Mr. A, the person who is supplying the inputs, semi-finished goods or capital goods, have to be by default a registered person. If the person who is supplying the goods or the goods on which the process or treatment or an activity is being done is an unregistered person, then it will not come under the ambit of the job work. It will be kept out of the purview of the GST because both the persons are unregistered. So basic fundamental to come under the ambit of job work is first thing is that there should be a treatment, a process or an activity to be carried out between the two persons on the goods. Goods can be inputs, semi-finished goods or capital goods by the another person who can be a registered person or cannot be a registered person, who is called as a job worker. Okay, so as per section 268 of the CGST Act, job work is a treatment or a process carried on the input, semi-finished goods, capital goods belonging to the registered person by the job worker, may be registered person or the unregistered person. The treatment of process can be any treatment of process: washing, packing, labeling. Anything can be a treatment or anything can be a process. Stitching, anything. Polishing, anything can be done. The primary necessities for the job work to constitute is the transaction involves two persons, two or more persons, but minimum we require two persons that need to cover in the job work. Two persons, one must be the registered person, another may or may not be a registered person. So a job worker can be a registered person or a job worker cannot be a registered person also, then also it will be considered as the job work. But for a transaction to constitute a job work, you need two or more persons. The person on whose goods, जिसके चीज पे, जिसके गुड्स पे, जिसके इनपुट्स पे, जिस पे हमें काम करना है, जिसको हमें मैन्युफैक्चर करना है या जिसको हमें कोई प्रोसेस करना है, कोई एक्टिविटी करनी है, कोई ट्रीटमेंट करना है जिस चीज का, वो जो गुड्स होने चाहिए वो उस इंसान के होने चाहिए जो कि एक रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन है जीएसटी के हिसाब से. अकॉर्डिंग टू द जीएसटी लॉ, दैट पर्सन शुड बी अ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन एंड द अदर पर्सन हु इज डूइंग द ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ प्रोसेस it can be an unregistered or a registered person. So at least one person has to be registered and that should be the person whose goods are being used for job work. Okay, so with these two things I think so it would be clear in your mind, like what is basically a job work. First of all, as per the GST Act, like a treatment and a process on the input, semi-finished goods or capital goods belonging to other registered person by the job worker, may be registered or unregistered. So the primary necessities for considering anything, any activity, any treatment, any process to be a job work is, first of all, there should be two or more persons, दो या दो से ज़्यादा लोग. Goods must belong to the registered person. So the goods must belong to the registered person and of whom the treatment process is being done. And a treatment process which is being done is done by the job worker who may be a registered person or may not be a registered person. But the goods belonging should be of the registered person. Now when the job work, the process, the activity, the treatment which has been done by a job worker on the goods which are being belonging to another registered person. Now, since the job worker is doing a treatment, manufacturing, process, activity on the goods, he is not supplying any goods. He is just receiving the goods, doing the activity on those particular goods, and then supplying them back to the registered person. Now, this complete entire process will be termed as a job work. Now, job work will be treated as a service or a goods. It will be treated as a service. Why? Because under this whole process, the job worker is just rendering his services. He is not going to deliver any goods from his own pocket. What he is doing, he is just doing a service. So the entire job work framework has been termed as supply of service as per the GST law. So this job work process is a supply of service process. It is not a supply of goods, it is a supply of services. And the job worker is bound to charge only the transaction value for his services only. So the transaction value for the job work by the job worker will be the service charges, the job worker charges which the job worker has charged. Supposingly Mr. A supplies some clothes of worth rupees 15 lakhs. Okay, for stitching. He has cut the cloth and he has supplied to the job worker Mr. B for stitching of the clothes. What does Mr. B does? Mr. B is just stitching the clothes and then supplying those goods back to the Mr. A. So what the work of Mr. B is just stitching. So he is going to charge in his invoice the stitching charges. That are his job work charges. So his transaction value, his invoice will be only of the stitching charges which he is rendering the services for, not the value of goods of 15 lakhs which he has received from Mr. A and is supplying back to Mr. A. No, because those inputs, those goods are of Mr. A. Mr. A has brought those goods. Mr. A has brought the clothes. So Mr. A is the beneficial owner of these goods, not Mr. B. Mr. A ने अपने नाम पे गुड्स खरीदे किसी और पार्टी से, उसका अपने बुक्स में परचेज बुक करी, उसका इनपुट लिया एंड उसको कटिंग करके आपने उस मिस्टर बी को पहुंचा दिए. मिस्टर बी ने क्या करा, उसके ऊपर स्टिचिंग करी और वापस आपको वैसे ही उसको स्टिच करके दे दिए. और जो अपना बिल चार्ज करेगा वो सिर्फ जॉब वर्क चार्जेस का ही बिल चार्ज करेगा जॉब वर्कर. ही इज नॉट गोइंग टू ऐड दो transaction value will not constitute the value of goods received from Mr. A. So the transaction value in case of job work is the cost of goods sent on job work shall not be considered in transaction value. The transaction value for job worker shall be the job charges and GST will be levied on those job charges charged by the job worker. If the job worker is registered, then he will charge GST on those job charges, else he will not charge any GST also on those job charges supplied to Mr. A. I think it is very clear. So first of all, the job work process is basically a supply of service process, not a supply of goods. It is a service process. So it will be categorized in the supply of services, and the transaction value of the job work which the job worker will charge from the registered person on whose goods the work has been done will be the service charges only which the job worker has done. The value of goods supplied from Mr. A is not the value of transaction for Mr. B, the job worker, neither the value will be considered as his turnover. His turnover, the job worker's turnover, will constitute only to the amount of rupees 1 lakh or 1,50,000 or 50,000 which the job worker is charging for stitching the clothes. That's it. Okay. Now moving on to the next slide. What are the procedural compliances? Now how this all procedure will go through, how the job worker or the registered person will work through, how they will transfer the goods, how will they will receive back the goods, what are the various parameters. So first point which we have to keep in mind is transfer of goods is made without the payment of tax. That is, the registered person, Mr. A, is now going to transfer the goods to the job worker without payment of tax. Supply is what? Supply is when we transfer the goods, when we supply the goods to someone else on payment of tax. Like suppose Mr. A supplies, supply means sale. Here we are not supplying, here we are not selling. We are just transferring the goods for the purpose of doing some activity, process or treatment on that particular goods and then returning them back to the registered person on whose goods we have done the treatment and process. So here now the registered person, what he will do, he has to get the things stitched. We are considering only this scenario. Like Mr. A is in a business of textile industry and is transferring the goods to the job worker Mr. B for stitching the clothes or washing the clothes or something else, packing, labeling, anything else, embroidery, many things can be done, whatever the work. So in this case, now when the registered person is transferring the goods to the job worker, the registered person will transfer without the payment of tax because this is not a supply. If we will supply the goods to the job worker, then the job worker will be the ultimate owner of the goods. Then it will be also a sale. Then there is no concept of job work. But here we are transferring these goods from one person to another for doing any activity, treatment or process on those particular goods to return them back to the person from whom the goods have been taken. So the registered person is now going to transfer the goods to the job worker without payment of any tax liability. Job worker can again transfer to another job worker without payment of tax again. So it can be done again and again. The process can go on. So there can be a registered person, can be one person जिसके goods है, वो goods हमने job worker को transfer करे, job worker को करे without payment of tax. Job worker, if he thinks he cannot do this work or he has ample work, he can subcontract the work to another job worker. Now that another job worker is what? He can also receive the goods. He will also just do the activity, process, treatment and then return the good back to the job worker. Job worker will give to the other registered person. Here, there is no payment of tax. In all this transaction, there is no payment of tax to be made or paid by the registered person or by the job worker. There is no payment of tax. Point number 2 is usage of delivery challan. Now, the GST laws tells about when we have to supply anything, we used to make a bill of supply or we make a invoice. We make an invoice or we make a bill of supply. Bill of supply is being made for the supplies which are exempted from tax or attracting nil rate of tax. We supply through bill of supply. But here we are not paying any tax. We are not actually supplying anything. We are just transferring for the time being to do an activity or a process. Okay, so in that we have to supply the transfer the goods using under the cover note of delivery challan that is mentioned under Rule 55 of the CGST rules. So the registered person will make a delivery challan as mentioned under Rule 55 and issue this. Along with this challan, the goods will be transferred to the job worker for carrying out an activity. Once the activity has been carried out, the challan will be given back to the registered person along with the goods. Now, job worker wants to subcontract, sub-job work this work. She can transfer again these goods to another job worker. Similarly, under the cover note of delivery challan issued under Rule 55 of the GST rules. So two things are important. First, we have to transfer these goods. How we will transfer? We will transfer using the delivery challan under Rule 55 of the GST rules without payment of tax. Okay, so the registered person will transfer the goods to the job worker for carrying out the activity of manufacturing or any treatment or any process using the delivery challan mentioned under Rule 55 of the CGST rules without payment of tax. So there is no tax liability occurred on the part of registered person or on the part of the job worker. No one is liable to pay tax right now. Now, point number 3, the principal issues 3 copies of delivery challan. There are 3 copies of delivery challan that are being issued by the principal to the job worker. The 2 copies of challan to the job worker and retain 1 copy of the challan. The principal, what the principal is going to do? Principal will send the 2 copies of delivery challan to the job worker. Okay, and will retain the 1 copy of challan. There are 3 copies of challan, 1 original for the job worker, 1 for the principal, and 1 for the transporter. Principal keep its copy and gives 2 copy to the job worker, 1 for the transportation to the transporter and another for the job worker. Now the job worker, what he can do? Job worker can endorse this challan issued by the principal to the another sub job worker. Okay, so the principal the challan issued by the principal to the job worker, and job worker can again endorse this challan to the sub job worker if he wants to pass on this work of job work to any other person. After the job work has been done from the job worker side or from the sub job worker side, the particular person will remit the goods on which the treatment process has been done back to the principal under the cover note of the challan. Okay, so the job worker can send with this challan copy only, which he has received or she has received from the principal, or it can issue a new challan from his side and to the principal after the end or completion of this job work along with his invoice. Okay, so the principal issues 3 copies of delivery challan. The challan is issued under Rule 55 of the GST rules. It is without payment of tax. Thirdly, we have 3 copies of challans. 2 copies of challan are being sent to the job worker and 1 copy is written by the principal. After the job work has been done on those goods which has been received by the job worker will remit these goods back to the principal along with the copy of challan, the same challan which has been received from the principal side, or he can issue his own challan also and give it to the principal. Job worker can also endorse the challan to the sub job worker, and sub job worker after completion of the work will give the goods and the challan back to the principal. Now what is to be done with this challan? We have to keep the record. In the accounting records, when you are filing the GSTR1, there is one column where you have to give the details of all the records like invoice, tax invoice, bill of supply, challans. There is one column where we have to give the details of the delivery challans issued during the period of filing of GSTR1. There we have to mention how many challans we have issued during the period under the return. Okay, and lastly, the point number 4, we have to collect these challans and we have to file a quarterly return known as ITC04 on the GST portal www.gst.gov.in. Every principal, it is the responsibility of the principal to file this return on the quarterly basis by the 25th of the month succeeding the quarter. Supposingly, first quarter is April to June. So the last date for filing the return for this job work purpose ITC 04 is 25th of July. So by 25th of July, we have to submit this return ITC 04, wherein we have to mention the details of the challans issued during the period and received back from the job worker. So we have to tell to the government how many challans we have issued during this quarter to the job for the job work and what kind of job work we have done. Then when we have received those goods within the period time frame or not. So these details are being mentioned in the ITC 04. Now what happens if we have issued the challan, we have remitted the goods for doing the work, job work, and we have not received back within this quarter? Now what is the prosecutions that we'll discuss further? So first we'll revise this. So the procedural compliance which we have to keep in our mind while carrying out the job work is first is point number 1. We have no taxation event. No tax has to be levied on the registered person or on the job worker or on the sub-job worker. Second, then how we will transfer? Then we will transfer using the delivery challan mentioned under Rule 55 of the GST rules. How many challans? We issue 3 challan. Principal issues 3 challans. 2 copies are sent to the job worker. 1 copy is sent back and 1 copy is retained by the principal. After completing the job work process, job worker along with the goods send the copy of challan back to the principal. After this process completion, we have to maintain all these records, and the principal has to remit, has to file the return, that is ITC 04 as mentioned in the GST portal on the quarterly basis by the 25th of the month succeeding the quarter, mentioning the details of the goods sent out for job work to the job workers and received back. Now when we are sending the goods to anyone, the e-waybill provisions will be as it is. We cannot deny on the e-waybill provisions also, because it is also an integral part of the GST. Now what do we have to do? Do we have to comply? We are not issuing a bill? No. Either we issue a tax invoice, we issue bill of supply, debit note, credit note, we export, we have to issue an e-waybill. So whenever you have made an e-waybill, if you have seen on the first page only on the topmost corner, there are the options. There are the tab buttons where we have to mention whether it is tax invoice or we are sending under the note of bill of supply or the challans. So there we have to issue delivery challan. Okay, so whenever we are supplying the goods from principal to the job worker, now it is if there is an interstate movement of the goods. If we talk about the interstate movement of the goods between the principal and the job worker, then yes, you have to issue the e-waybill. The distance between the two places covered doesn't matter. The monetary value of the goods doesn't matter. Because here, monetary value, we don't know. We have the monetary value of the value of goods, but actual the work which is being done, the invoice which will be issued only for the job work charges which the job worker has remitted. So here we have to consider the value of the delivery challan. We can put a tentative value of the goods which we are supplying to the job worker for job work. So the principal on making an interstate supply to the job worker has to mandatorily issue an e-waybill irrespective of the monetary value of the goods supplied for job work and the distance covered between the two places. If we come to about next thing, interstate movement of goods. If we talk about interstate movement of goods and the principal and a job worker are in the same place, in the same cities, in the same state, and they are moving the goods from one place to another place within the state, within the city, then the concerned state GST rules will be applicable on that. So the e-waybill provisions governed by that particular state will be applicable on this movement or in this transaction. Okay. Now next. Now if we come to a point, transfer of goods to job worker, transfer of goods by principal to job worker. Now, what can happen? Supposingly, what till now what we have understood is that Mr. A is buying the goods, okay, and is transferring the goods to Mr. B. He purchases the goods from XYZ and company. He books the purchases. He records the stock. He does whatever he wants to do on the stock. He takes the input tax credit on the purchases which he has purchased, and then transfer those goods for treatment, for process, for activity, for anything to the job worker. Job worker does his process and returns back the goods to the principal along with his bill, that is the invoice mentioning the job work charges. Now, what if there is a vendor, Mr. XYZ, and the principal wants to purchase has purchased the goods from XYZ and wants to send those goods directly to the job worker? Can he do so? Yes. The principal who is purchasing, I was purchasing the goods from XYZ and company and receiving it, bringing it to my place, and then again sending it to the job worker. पहले वहां से यहाँ तक का हमारे यहाँ का ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का एक्सपेंस, फिर हमने अपने यहाँ से फिर उसको चेक कराना, उसके बाद बिल डिलीवरी चलान बनाना और फिर उसके बाद ट्रांसपोर्ट करा के उसको जॉब वर्कर के पास भेजना. So we can come to a shorter work. We can ask the vendor to deliver these goods directly to the job worker. Yes, we can do it using the concept of bill to and ship to concept that we have already heard about in the GST. The vendor can bill the invoice in our name, in the name of the principal, and ship to the job worker's place. Now here, can the principal take the input tax credit? Yes. Principal has not received the physical delivery of the goods, but the title has been received by the principal for those goods, which has been received by the job worker, delivered by the vendor. So the now here, vendor can issue a bill. Vendor will issue a bill. The bill will be in the name of the principal, and the principal will issue again a delivery challan which has been issued so far under rule 55. अभी तक हम इशू करते थे. हम क्या करते थे, वेंडर से लिया और हमने प्रिंसिपल को मिल गया, वेंडर ने प्रिंसिपल को दिया, प्रिंसिपल ने जॉब वर्कर को दिया अंडर द कवर नोट ऑफ द डिलीवरी चलान issued under rule 55 of the CGST rules. But now we can, different scenario, we can transfer of goods by supplier to the job worker directly without being delivered at the principal's place. हम directly भी कर सकते हैं. कैसे? Vendor can transfer the good, deliver the goods, basically deliver the goods to the job worker, and job worker will deliver back the goods to the principal after completion of the work. The vendor to deliver the goods directly to the job worker using the concept bill to and ship to in the invoice. Now, principal here will issue the challan under rule 45 and send the same to the vendor for sending the goods to the job worker under its cover. अभी तक हम रूल 55 का जो चलान था उसको यूज करते थे और हम खुद से आगे जॉब वर्कर को दे देते थे जब हमें रिसीव हो जाता था. अब हम क्या करेंगे, हम रूल 45 में जो चलान है वो हम इशू करेंगे. कौन इशू करेगा? प्रिंसिपल. प्रिंसिपल इशू करके देगा वेंडर को, वेंडर अपने बिल के साथ लगा के जॉब वर्कर को भिजवा देगा. ठीक है. सो देयर इज नो इशू कि हम वेंडर से डायरेक्टली जॉब वर्कर के पास नहीं भेज सकते. One more time, I'll tell you. The vendor will intimate to the principal that I am going to deliver your goods to your job worker. Please issue a challan under rule 45. Principal will issue the challan under rule 45. The vendor along with the challan on the top of it, the bill where the ship to will be the job worker's place and bill to will be the principal's place. The vendor will ship the goods to the job worker's place on the consent of the principal with the cover note of the challan under rule 45. After completing the work, the job worker will transfer those goods back to the principal along with the challan and the invoice of his job work charges. Yes. Now, time limit for job work. Now, once we have given our goods for the job work, the principal has given the goods to the job worker for doing the job work on it. Now, there must be some time limit to receive those goods back from the job worker. Yes. When the principal gives the goods to the job worker for doing any activity or process on those particular goods, then it is the responsibility of the job worker to send those goods back after doing the activity, process, or manufacturing on those particular goods back to the principal within the period of 1 year from the date which we have sent those goods. Okay, so within 1 year from the date of sending the goods from the principal to job worker has to return those goods back within the period of 1 year from the date the goods were transferred from the principal to the job worker. Similarly, if we are transferring the goods from the vendor to the job worker and the goods have not been received by the principal also, then in case of the date the goods were delivered, the shipped to, as per the bill to ship to concept, the date the goods were shipped or received by the job worker, from that date within the 1 year the job worker has to return those goods back to the supplier. So supplier when send goods to the directly to the job worker, then within the 1 year from the date of goods received by the job worker as per the bill to ship to concept, job worker has to send them back to the supplier. Okay. Now what if we cannot supply it within the period of 1 year? We'll discuss. Now, like we have discussed about the goods. Goods means inputs, capital finished goods, and the capital goods. Now, supposingly Mr. A is a principal and Mr. B is a job worker. Mr. A चाहते हैं Mr. B से कि ये काम करके हमको दे, उसके लिए उनके पास सपोजिंगली एक मशीन कम पड़ रही है या नहीं है, तो प्रिंसिपल ने कहा ठीक है, आई विल प्रोवाइड यू द मशीन ऑल्सो, तो वो कैपिटल गुड्स भी दे देते हैं, सेंड कर देते हैं. सो वन द प्रिंसिपल सेंड द कैपिटल गुड टू द जॉब वर्कर. So the job worker, after finishing the work or what, has to return that capital goods also back to the principal within the period of 3 years from the date on which it was sent from the principal. So the date the principal has sent those goods, these capital goods, to the job worker has a responsibility to send them back within the period of 3 years. So for goods like inputs, semi-finished goods, finished goods, we have the time limit of 1 year to receive them, to give them back from the job worker to principal. In case of capital goods, the time limit has extended to 3 years. Similarly, if we buy a machine from a vendor, the principal says, okay, I have to give it to the job worker for doing the work. So you can directly ask your vendor to deliver it to the job worker using the bill to ship to concept in the bill. But the bill, if it is in the name of the principal is liable to take the input tax credit on the capital good which has been billed in his name. So there is no impact on the input tax credit of the principal. Only the shipping address is getting changed and the job worker is receiving those inputs, semi-finished, finished goods, capital goods from other than the principal. So for the inputs, finished goods, semi-finished goods, the time limit is 1 year. We have to return it back within the period of 1 year. And in case of capital goods, we have to return it back in the period of 3 years. In case of another goods, what are the another goods? Like molds, dies, jigs, fixtures, tools, all these things which are being consumed while doing the work, they have no time limit. There is no time limit for return of these such items and they are also supplied without payment of tax. It doesn't matter when they are supplied back or not because they are basically consumed while doing the work. So we cannot expect that these should come back within the certain period or should be returned with such and such. These things have gone, same amount should be returned. We cannot. They can be torn, they can be scrapped, they can be used, they can be consumed. Anything can be done. So in case of these, there is no time limit, nothing applicable. But we have to take care in case of the capital goods, semi-finished goods, inputs, finished goods, which has been given to the job worker for carrying out any activity or process or treatment on those particular goods. Think these things are clear. What is the time limit for transfer and receiving back the input, semi-finished, finished, and capital goods sent to the job worker for job work. Now, what if they are not received back within the period of 1 year or 3 years? If the inputs like inputs, semi-finished goods, finished goods, raw materials, which has been issued are not received back within the period of 1 year as told by the as mentioned, then the principal can extend the permission or take the permission by showing the sufficient cause why the things cannot be done. The commissioner can grant such permission, but the extension can be of not more than 1 year. So 1 year plus 1 year, 2 years. 1 year is the primary time limit. The secondary time limit, which can be granted by the commissioner on showing the sufficient cause, is 1 year extra. If now you cannot return back within that period of 1 year or the lesser period which the commissioner has granted to you to return those goods, then it will be treated as the supply of goods from the date on which the same were transferred under the cover note of delivery challan to the job worker. So we have to pay the tax on the goods which were supplied 1 year back, and the tax amount will be remitted to the government along with the interest liability. Similarly, in the case of capital goods, if the capital goods are not received within the period of 3 years, then on seeking an application from the commissioner on showing a sufficient cause to the commissioner, a extension of 2 years or less can be granted by the commissioner to the principal. So 3 years is the primary time limit for the capital goods and 2 years is the extension limit. It can be 2 years, 1 year or less than 2 years, any time which the commissioner grants. So within this period, you have to return those goods back. If you don't return those goods, then those capital goods will be treated as the supply of goods to the job worker, and the full tax liability have to be remitted by the principal to the government along with the interest. Okay. Now, at the last, so today's glimpse of the presentation is there should be 2 or more person. One should be the principal, one should be the job worker. The principal is the person who owns the goods, who is the owner of the goods, who has the goods in his own name, the title of the goods, and has taken the input tax credit on those goods, and has sent those goods for processing, manufacturing, treatment, or anything to the job worker. Principal must be a registered person under the GST Act. Okay. So for being the principal is the owner of the goods. The principal has sent the goods for processing, manufacturing to the job worker, and the principal should be a registered person as per the GST Act, which is the primary clause for considering this situation in the job work. Principal sends the inputs, semi-finished, finished, raw material or capital goods on job work by his own or through the supplier directly to the job worker. So it can send on his own motion, or through the supplier, through the vendor directly to the place of the job work using the concept of bill to and ship to. Now the principal send the goods under the cover note of the delivery challan. The delivery challan can be issued under Rule 45 and Rule 55 of the CGST rules, as we have already discussed. E-way provisions will be applicable on this transaction as per the law. In case of interstate transaction, it is mandatory to issue the e-way bill. There is no clause that you cannot issue the e-way bill, or there is any particular criteria irrespective of the amount of the goods sent or the distance covered. We have to issue the e-way bill for the transaction. Now, job worker is a person who carries on the process of manufacturing or any treatment or any activity on the goods belonging to the principal. The job worker is doing the activity, the process on the goods belonging to the principal, and the job worker can be a registered person or may not be a registered person. He can be anything, registered or unregistered. He should get himself registered if he crosses his threshold limit of registration as mentioned in section 22 of the GST Act. Okay. Now, after completing the job work process, the job worker has to return those inputs, can be semi-finished, raw material or finished goods within the period of 1 year, or capital goods within the period of 3 years. The period of 1 year, 3 year can be substantially increased, but to the maximum of again 1 year or 2 year as per the permission granted by the commissioner. Now, job worker, after completing the job work, delivers back the goods under the cover note of the delivery challan issued by the principal, along with the copy of invoice mentioning the amount of job charges charged by him for the work or the process done by his side. Okay, so this was the complete job work process. For any query, you can just message or pin the questions. I'll just check up those questions, or you can mail me your queries regarding the job work process or any other matter, any other queries regarding the job work which you have in your mind, which you think should be covered in the job work. For that, I will try to make one more video on this to elaborate more about the other different things or aspects which we have not covered in this particular PPT for the job work in the part 2 of my PPT. Further, for any query, you can mail me at my mail ID, or you can just put your questions in the chat box so I can just check it and will respond to you as early as possible. Thank you very much.